Have you ever felt boxed in by Elementor? Today I'll show you why it's holding you back and how Bricks Builder gives you the freedom to build powerful designs without expensive add-ons. Stick around as I show you, because later I'll show you the bigger problem with relying on all these add-ons in Elementor, and it's not just about bloated add-ons slowing your site down. So in Elementor, if you want to build a dynamic timeline, you need a pro add-on. And there's lots. They're all expensive. They are usually kind of inflexible when it comes to designing and layout. You get what you get, and they are extra bloat. It loads extra code on your site and it slows your site down. But that's not all. The bigger issue with add-ons is what's called technical debt, and the fact that you just built your site to include another plugin dependency, not just for the site to work, but it's an additional plugin to update, another vendor to push out security updates, another potential moving part that can break. In Bricks, we do this all using native Bricks functions, which reduces the potential for these issues. And it makes your site stability skyrocket with seamless updates and security from less plugin vendors, less code loading on the front end, and your site is overall just faster and simpler. In a minute, I'm going to show you the solution to expensive add-ons, so stick around for that. And also, if you need help building in Bricks Builder with frames and automatic CSS, I've created a free blueprint you can download from my video description. So in Bricks, to avoid using expensive pro add-ons, we need to do 3 steps. First, we need to create a custom post. Then we need to make some repeater fields. And lastly, we are going to create a design. And I'll be using frames for that because it's super easy. All right, so the first step is super easy. From the WordPress dashboard, we need to go to ACF, post types, and we're gonna add a new post type. And I'm just gonna call it timeline. We need a plural and a singular version. I need to learn how to type. And that's it. We're gonna save it. And we'll get a new custom post here. If we want to, we can go to advanced configuration. Often what I'll do is go to visibility, and I will pick a different icon than the default pin. You can do whatever you want. Almost anything looks better than the default, and it helps set it apart. I'm going to use the clock. And there we go. So now we have a custom post. And the next step is to make some custom repeater fields, also using ACF. So the next step is to create some repeater fields and attach them to the custom post we made. And the outcome is going to be a dynamic timeline, which will be completely flexible to style like this. So we're going to dive back into the dashboard. And we're going to go to ACF. This time we're going to go to field groups, and we're going to make a new field group and call it timeline. The first thing we'll do is set it to be equal to post type timeline, save our changes, and then we're going to start building out the fields. So the first field we need, looks like it added a text field here by default. So I'm going to add a field, and we want a repeater. And we're going to call it timeline because it's the top level. And then there will be some subfields in it to match the work we're doing on the front end. So the first field we're going to add will be a text field for year. And so I type the year label in, or year as field label, hit tab, and it will create a field name based on the label I made. And then we will add another field below it, and it's going to be a repeater. And so we'll call it timeline content. And again, it automatically creates the key from the label. And then basically this is a repeater in a repeater. And so we will add the actual fields for each of these blocks inside of this section. So I'm going to add a text field here, and we're going to call it event title. And below it, we'll add one. It's going to be a text area. Event description. And we'll add another one. It's going to be an image field. And it will be event logo. Now we will save this. When we go to timelines, we've already, as we did this previously, we attached this field group to the timeline post type. And now when I go add new timeline, I will give it a timeline. I'm just going to call it company timeline. Publish it, and you'll see down here that we can now add a row of content. So I'm going to fill in the year 2024, and then here we add a row, and this is the timeline. We're going to use like company events for this timeline. So I'm going to use summer barbecue. The summer was on July 1st. And I'm going to just add, I don't know if I have media here. I do. I'm going to use this logo. So because this is what a repeater is, there's a repeater and a repeater. So we can add a row for year, and then within year, we can add multiple events. So we could go like this and add another one, you know, and say Christmas party. What I'm going to do is add another row here, and it's going to be 2023. And then within it, we'll add a repeater for the summer barbecue 2023. I'm just going to copy this in, change this to 2023. I should have a burger photo. I'm just going to use this Lorem Ipsum logo instead, and then we publish this. So now we have the data we need. And this completely replaces the need for any pro add-on. It's simple and it works. So now that we created the custom post and added the repeater fields, our last step is to connect that to a template on the front end. We're going to use frames because frames makes it super easy to do this. So what I've already done is I imported a timeline design from the frames template. Any one of these would work. That's the cool thing. We could do a horizontal one. We could do a vertical one. And these are the things that pro Elementor add-ons just aren't going to do for you. And so I've chosen Timeline Alpha and imported it into here. So I want to break it down a little for you. So frames makes properly structured HTML to begin with. So there's a list, and then there's list items in it. So we need to go to the top level, and this repeats. So this is the year level, essentially. I could really make this simpler. I'm going to rename this and call it year repeater. And that gets so long you can't read it. So we'll go like this. So here, on the top level, we need to repeat the year. So that's this block here. So let's go ahead and do that. We turn on query loop, and we're going to turn on a query. It's going to be querying posts, and we're going to query the post type timeline. And we've only got one post, so we're going to choose it, company timeline. And then we go ahead and save it. So what you see on the front end at this point is nothing. We see exactly what we had here. So what exactly happened, right? So what we want to get is a query for each year, and then we want to loop each event within that year before we go to the next year. So over here we have the top level year repeater, and here we have like the events within the year. So the first thing we are going to do to bring some visibility to this is to change out this here text to the be dynamic text, and we're going to pull it in from the repeater field. So if I type year, it pulls up every field with year in it. This is it here. So let's save this and view it. Oh, and we get nothing because we're not done yet. So we need to keep going here. So under the list item, now that we've set the initial query for the post, we need to set a repeater query for the field below it. And so we're going to go and create another query loop. And this time we're going to repeat the timeline. And that is this here. You see the timeline? So first we got the post, the specific post called company timeline. Now we're repeating these. So let me save that. And there we go. Now it's repeating through the timelines that we've added. We could keep going, add another row for 2022, 2021, whatever you want. And so because we did this backwards, but we added the ACF timeline year dynamic text, and then we went and set the query correctly. So you'll see now that we have the year working correctly, but the other data isn't yet. And this is where we get into the repeater within the repeater, because we're repeating the year and then we're repeating the events within the year. And that leads us to this here section here, which is the timeline content. So timeline is a repeater, timeline content is a repeater within it, but we had to set the initial query at the top level here first for any of this to work. So it runs down, it goes down from the top. So now that we've set the post type and the first repeater, we're going to set the second repeater, and we're going to loop this here data is what's going to loop the second time. So we go down here and turn this into a query loop. From the query, we're going to choose our drop down and go timeline content. And you can see here, you can see here where the way to tell that this is the first level one is that it's timeline, and then here we have timeline content in brackets as timeline because it's a child of timeline. So we know we want this one here. So now we have a query set up that is looping through the posts, the custom posts, looping through the repeater, looping through the repeater in the repeater. And the last thing we need to do here is just change this here text to actually see the query we made. So I'm gonna type in title because I know that title was in the ACF field I made, and it comes up. And then we're going to go and type content. I think it was description that we did. And we also, if you remember, had an image here. So this is where the flexibility of bricks is way more powerful than what we can do with an Elementor Pro add-on. Elementor Pro add-on might make a timeline, but this would not let you edit any of it. If we want to add a photo in here, there's no problem at all. We literally go in, add the image field, select the widget, and the first thing I'm going to do is choose dynamic data. And we had called that timeline logo, I think it was. So here, event logo, this is it here. And then we'll choose a thumbnail size, save it. So just to run through this one more time, this is the post type. We set the query to timeline post type and this specific post. And then we have the repeater, which is getting the timelines, which are per each year that we add. And then we have a repeater within it, and it's a div within, it's a query and a div within the repeater above it, or above it. And it's querying the events. So I'm gonna save this and refresh my page. And right like that, we have the query built. We have a timeline that's dynamic where customers can stay out of Bricks Builder and just edit text and upload files in the back end. So this is what makes Bricks Builder powerful and less expensive than Elementor Pro with Elementor Pro widgets. And this is why Bricks Builder loads faster, because you're loading less code and less plugins, and core is less bloated, less prone to break, there's less security updates, and overall it's a win. If you learned something new about Bricks Builder and Elementor today, then please like and subscribe my channel, and it helps me as I grow. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next one.